And next up we have Brandon. And if you please give him a round of applause.
Okay, so before I read this, I should probably explain. I'm not trying to preach to anybody or anything. I recently read Joyce's portrait of the artist as a young man, and in it had this amazing description of hell, and it reminded me of Paradise is Lost description of hell. And for some reason, I just find the descriptions of hell in these books to be like the most horrifyingly beautiful imagery that I've ever read, and so I basically wrote this because of the imagery, more so than anything. And so anyway, yeah, here it is. The eternal sulfuric flames licked at my flesh, slowly, brutally tormenting me, sapping my strength, my sanity, devouring my mind, but refusing to consume my weak, worm-eaten flesh, so as to prolong the pain, the torture for an eternity. The atrocious smell of the perpetually burning flesh, muscle and tissue, so putrid, so nauseating that only the heat, the conflagration of the fire could match the appalling terror, the anguish which tormented me. Worse yet, the complete, utter, all-consuming darkness which encased me, closing off any senses which could bring solace, forcing me to realize this pain, to endure it, to agonize and cry as madness slowly engulfed me, smothering me even more than the blanket of demonic hellfire in this God-forsaken place where screams of horror, of anger, torment, and pleadings for mercy and death were prevalent. All fell on deaf ears. My own voice as I cried, as I pleaded for help, as I began to rave while insanity dominated my mind. I began to wander, to journey, the smoldering brimstone scorching my feet, the inferno smoke choking my lungs, as intense thirst, a longing within me forced me to move, beckoning me to search for relief from this indescribable torment within this pit, this prison. My legs moving for an eternity, my flesh rotting as fiendish entities, gluttonous maggots, gorge themselves on my very being, while my body refuses to die, to simply fall so that a merciful, longed-for solace and bliss of sleep could overwhelm me. This was refused to one such as me. Instead, I propelled onward through the void of shadows, of darkness, by desire and desperation. Finally, I slip. I fell into the bittersweet nectar, which I greedily consume as sanctifying elixir impregnates my mouth, lunges down my throat, a gracious gift of life-restoring serum, which quenches the flames, blotted out the foul stench of decay, healed my flesh, restored my mind, and sanctified my soul. This forbidden, irresistible black gold has never tasted richer, nor have I ever felt more alive or appreciated this existence as I die with one final swallow.
And next up we have Manuel. And if you please give him a round of applause.
Okay, from death to birth. This is George Barker, True Confessions of George Barker, Book 1. Today, recovering from influenza, I began having nothing worse to do. This autobiography that ends a half of my life. I'm glad I'm through. Oh, love, what a bloody hullabaloo I look back at, shaken and sober, when that intemperate life I view from this temperate October to 1947. I pay the deepest of respects, for during this year I was given some insight into the other sex. I was a victim till 46 of the rosy bed with bitches in it. But now, in spite of all pretexts, I never sleep a single minute. Oh, fellow sailor on the tossing sea. Oh, fleeting virgin in the night. Oh, privates, general in lechery. Shun the bedroom like a blight. Evade, oh amorous acolyte, that pillow where your heart should bury, for if the thing was stood upright, it would become a cemetery. I start with this apostrophe to all the apostles of true love. With your devotion, visit me. Give me the glory of the dove, the dyes of dereliction. Give true love to me. True love to me, and in two shakes I will prove it's false to you and false to me. Bright spawner, on your sandbank dwell, cold-blooded as a plumber's pike. The procreatory ocean swell, warming till they're overripe. The cockles of your cold heart will teach us true love can instill temperature into any type. Does not the oyster in its bed open a yearning yoni when the full moon passes overhead, feeling for pearls? Oh, nothing then too low a form of life is, when love, abandoning the cloister, can annihilate the bedded oyster, the spawning tiddler and men. That's all of us, the pig and prince, the priest and the psychiatrist. As I turn the page, owe everything to true love, since how the devil could we exist if our parents never kissed? All biographies, therefore, no matter what else they evince, open like prisons with a door. Remember, when you love another who demonstrably is a bitch, even Venus had a mother whose love, like a silent H, incepted your erotic itch. Love has the longest history, for we can tell when Abe, his father, begot him on a mystery. I, born in East Essex, 34, essentially sexual, years ago, stepped down, looked around and saw I had been cast a little low in the social register. For the friends whom I now know, as a constable, a mister, Bob's your uncle even so. Better man than I have wondered why one's father could not see that at one's birth he had blundered. His ill-chosen paternity embarrasses the fraternity of one's friends who, living husbands, understandably have wondered if fatherhood permitted policemen. So I, the son of an administrator of the facts of civil law, delight in uncivil and even sinister violations. Thus my cause is simply, friend, to hell with yours. In misdemeanors I was nourished, learned like altruist in Westminster by what duplicities one flourished. At 5, but feeling rather young, with a blue eye, beauty over 6, hand in hand, and tongue to tongue, I took a sin upon my sex. Sin? It was pleasure. So I told her, and ever since, persisting in concupiscence, no holder or bowler, my pleasure's been to undress sin. What's the point of a confession if you have nothing to confess? I follow the perjuring profession, oh poet, lying to impress, but the beautiful lie in a beautiful dress is the least heinous of my transgressions. When a new one's added, oh who was it? Beside the skeletons in my closet. Lady bird, come home. Come home. Muse and mistress, wherever you are, the evening is here, and in the gloom each bisexual worm burns like a star, and the love of man is crepuscular. In the day the world, but at night we, lonely on the eagles, dark and far apart as worlds, between sea and sea, yearn to each other, as the stars hold one another in fields together. O rose of all the world, enfold each weeping warm against the cold of the bitter eagle's weather, to warm our isothermal pride, cause sometimes love another, to keep us by an unselfish side. The act of human procreation, the running tongue, the grunt and shudder, the sweat, the reek of defecation, the cradle hanging by the bladder, the scramble up the hairy ladder. And from the thumping bed of time, immortality, a white slime sucking on its mother's udder. The act of human procreation, the sword dug plugging, the lugged out bub, the small man priming a lactation, the grunt, the drooping tit, the rub of gum and dug, the sobbing kiss behind the mater amabilis. So with a savior, messiah and cow, virgin and piglet, son and cell, the act of human procreation. Oh, crown and flower, oh, culmination of perfect love throughout creation. What can I compare to it? Oh, eternal butterflies in the belly. Oh, trembling of the heavenly jelly. Oh, miracle of birth. Really, we are excreted like shit.